somewhat with two men he's been talking to, the governor and the mayor, to cry with people and to support people and to share with people and tell people through these tears of sadness, as he put it today, that he sees an opportunity for America to do a generation of terror, a generation of favor, and carry the war against terrorism to the terrorists in a more vigorous way. Just one other note before we go on about the Taliban, because you're going to hear a lot about them today. The Taliban very quickly after this incident occurred said publicly through those organs of journalism primarily in Pakistan to which they have access that they were in no way responsible. And they also said, which was quite fascinating, that Osama bin Laden was also not responsible.
By the way, Afghanistan's ruling Taliban movement on Tuesday said that Osama bin Laden, they're closely allied with him, was not responsible for the attacks on the United States. What happened in the United States, according to the Taliban, was not a job of ordinary people. It could have been the work of governments. Osama bin Laden cannot do this kind of work. Neither can we, a Taliban spokesman said from the southern city of Kandahar. The Taliban, of course, a very militant and very conservative Islamic organization and widely believed to be harboring Osama bin Laden, a very wealthy Saudi dissident.
Osama bin Laden, #1 on everybody's most wanted list in the world today. He's saying that, once again, that he did not do it. Don't hold him responsible. He's not guilty. He, of course, is the man that has been fingered by just about everybody in the world. And now he's released a statement really underlining that he had nothing to do with it. So let's go through the statement. There's some interesting aspects to this. He said, after the recent attacks which the U.S. has witnessed, the U.S. government ventured to point fingers at me, accuse me of involvement. The U.S. government has consistently blamed me for being behind every occasion its enemies attack it, that is the United States. And it goes on. I would like to assure the world that I did not plan the recent attacks, which seems to have been planned by people for personal reasons. And as for me, I have been living in the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and following its leader's rules. The current leader does not allow me to exercise such operations. Well, Jack, we can all weigh that on the scale of credibility and come to our own conclusion.
President Bush's redirection in Iraq is leading some Americans to ask themselves, just how did we get here? Less than a month after the attacks of September the 11th, America began its war on terror in Afghanistan and the hunt for Osama bin Laden. Tonight, KSLA News 12's Jeff Farrell takes a closer look at these origins and discovered something that's still conspicuously absent.
The FBI's 10 Most Wanted poster reads, quote, Osama bin Laden is wanted in connection with the August 7, 1998 bombings of the United States embassies in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Nairobi, Kenya. These attacks killed over 200 people. In addition, bin Laden is a suspect in other terrorist attacks throughout the world. It turns out, though, bin Laden has never been indicted for 9/11, and there's not a single mention of it directly in the FBI poster. As for why there is no mention at all of 9/11 in the FBI's 10 Most Wanted poster of Osama bin Laden, we wanted to get a comment from the White House as well. When we talked to a gentleman by the name of Blair Jones at the White House press office, he told us that we need to go back to justice, in other words, the FBI. We told him we wanted a separate comment, and he said, quote, we speak with one voice.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Just 9 days after 9/11, the president addressed a joint session of Congress where he blamed al-Qaeda, even mentioning its leader Osama bin Laden by name. Then came December 13, 2001, when the Pentagon released bin Laden's so-called confession video. The FBI revised bin Laden's poster 2 months after September 11th, and 5 years later, there's still no 9/11 reference. We asked retired Barksdale General Peyton Cole for his reaction.
It's puzzling, and it begs a question of why not.
And we're waiting for that answer, too.
The investigative website, the Muckraker Report, said yesterday that the FBI has never accused Osama bin Laden of being behind the September 11th attacks because the agency does not have proof that bin Laden was involved. The Muckraker called FBI headquarters asking why bin Laden's most wanted poster did not charge Osama with the 9/11 attacks. Rex Toome, chief of investigative publicity for the FBI, is reported to have said, quote, "The reason why 9/11 is not mentioned on Osama bin Laden's most wanted page is because the FBI has no hard evidence connecting bin Laden to 9/11. Tom added, the FBI gathers evidence, turns it over to the Department of Justice, who in turn decides whether it has enough evidence to present to a federal grand jury. In the case of the 1998 United States embassies being bombed, bin Laden has been formally indicted and charged by grand jury. He has not been formally indicted and charged in connection with 9/11 because the FBI has no hard evidence," unquote. Bin Laden, who claimed not to be involved with the attacks in a censored Al Jazeera video from late September 2001, has been used to launch the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and also used to justify the U.S. government's assault on the Bill of Rights under the Patriot Act.
Somewhat with too many. He's been talking to the governor and the mayor to cry with people and to support people and to share with people and tell people through these tears of sadness, as he put it today, that he sees an opportunity for America to do a generation of terror, a generation of favor, and carry the war against terrorism to the terrorists in a more vigorous way.
We've never made the case or argued the case that somehow Osama bin Laden was directly involved in 9/11. That evidence has never been forthcoming.
I want to be clear, because I've heard you say this, and I've heard the president say it, but I want you to say it for my listeners, which is that the White House has never argued that Saddam was directly involved in September 11th, correct?
That's correct. We had one report early on from another intelligence service that suggested that the lead hijacker, Mohammed Atta, had met with Iraqi intelligence officials in Prague, Czechoslovakia. And that reporting waxed and waned with a degree of confidence in it and so forth. Has been pretty well knocked down now at this stage. But so we've never made the case or argued the case that somehow Osama bin Laden was directly involved in 9/11. That evidence has never been forthcoming.
Well, I mean, it's like a month and a half ago, the Washington Post in its Spy Talk section admitted that the bin Laden video that we've been shown so many times was a CIA fake, and that it was a CIA actor playing the part of Osama bin Laden. But going back 8 years ago, I could look at that video and tell that the guy's nose was twice the size. He'd suddenly gained 100 pounds. They separately had linguists in France and in Canada who went over the voice and said that it wasn't Osama bin Laden. They had experts that did the voice key test and discovered that it wasn't bin Laden. So it was common sense. I knew that wasn't bin Laden 8 years ago. But now the Washington Post comes out and throws it in our face that it wasn't bin Laden. But it was still the patriotic duty of the government and the CIA to put out a fake bin Laden video so they could scare everybody into attacking Afghanistan and Iraq.
To share with people and tell people through these tears of sadness, as he put it today, that he sees an opportunity.
I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
Boy, that escalated quickly.